Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Onward VR Master League. My name is NightFiree. I'm here with my co-host, Noman VR. How are you today, Noman?
I'm doing great, Night. I'm excited for today's matchup. It's almost Friday. I mean, how can you complain about any of that?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good Thursday. It's good. A good day for some Onward action. Today we are bringing you Rome versus Legionnaires. Bit of a mid-rank matchup, but definitely one that I kind of had my eye on just because, although Rome is silver right now, they're playing pretty good.
Yeah, that's kind of an understatement. They're playing great, I think.
Yeah.
What made me real interested is they are matching up, I think, for the first time in the VRML. They have not yet played, Rome being relatively new to the league. I think only a couple seasons old.
Yeah, season
and
6.
Legionnaires, yeah, obviously very established. So seeing these two teams come to a head here for the first time, I think it's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, and we'll quickly go over pick bands and then the roster. And just to kick it off, I think, remind me, what are our, oh no, I think I got them here. The pick bands are from Legionnaires, Downfall was banned, and from Rome, Bazaar was banned.
Yeah, and so the Downfall ban doesn't surprise me too much. Legionnaires have never been huge fans of that map. In the all-time history for the Legionnaires, they've only played 14 total maps on Downfall, and they've only won about half, a little bit over half. And Bazaar for both teams is a big one. So Rome's ban, Rome's ban also makes sense based on how many times people play Bazaar in general in the league, but you know, it's a tough one to get used to. A lot of teams have a lot of really sort of set-in strats that are kind of hard to unseat, and it's not super surprising, but for us it is. You know, as casters, we love that Bazaar map.
Well, you want to talk about, you know, unseating and kind of having a surprise. Map 1 is going to be Suburbia, but it is Suburbia 2, so we are going to get the night version of this map. And I think this is Rome's pick, and I think they've done this before. This is a preference of theirs.
Interesting. Yeah, so it's interesting because Legionnaires is home, I think, for this match,
Are
if
they?
I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I wonder if this was a giving up our pick.
Yeah, it very well could have
type
been.
thing.
Could have been a Legionnaires opting in to go for the Volk side. Or, frankly, Rome could have picked Marsoc, you know?
Yeah, I think I would go with Legionnaires picking defense
Yeah, me
here.
too.
Their defense is pretty notorious, I think, for being really difficult to unseat. So I think you're on the right track there.
Looking at the active rosters today, over on Legionnaires we have Kitten Mittens, Raider, Mr. Meowgi, Mr. Sirius, and Kagan. And on Rome we have Lorena Scout, Rome Gladiator, Aramita, Lucky AF, and William Dump. So we almost got Gladiator. We almost have everyone on Rome to not have their team name at the front of their name. We're almost there.
2020, that's the goal.
We'll keep lobbying. Maybe it'll happen.
Yeah.
Someday.
Someday.
But yeah, Legionnaires, their rosters, a lot of seasoned players there. Like we said, they've been around for quite a few seasons, since season 2, so nearly as long as you can be in the league. And I mean, Rome, they've been working very good this season. They've been playing really well together. Curious to see what kind of strats we get, what kind of builds we get, what kind of loadouts we see. I'm interested in it all, and we are going to kick things off with a bit of a spec bug, just so everyone is aware as we dive into round number 1. The lobby time is not accurate, but everything else is, so shield your eyes. And Noman, make notes so we can be reminding folks when that resets.
Yeah, we will do that. And we're jumping in here. So let's see how this Legionnaires defense sets up, because this is always interesting to me. Their defense is one of my favorites in the league. It's really, really entrenched. It's hard to figure out where they're going to be, and we're going to see those early smokes coming out from Rome as well.
Yeah, you talk about entrenched. Mr. Serious pushing up here, getting himself tucked into that patio. Kind of on the other side of those smokes, and it looks like a casualty here with these nades. I think he maybe threw a bad nade on himself.
Yeah, I was not aware they're throwing some flashes out, but Legionnaires are nowhere near that middle. They are saying, come to us. We've got the objective.
Look how fast Will's moving. This is insane. Will, no smokes here. He's just charging forward. Mr. Miyagi, I don't know if he spots Will's feet underneath here. I don't think he has the angle.
It'd be tough to spot under that fence. I don't know if he's going to be able to see him until he comes around the other side of the Humvee.
But that was really quick. He just charged around that corner. They haven't smoked this at all. Will's peeking around, and now Miyagi really should see him. Kitten finds one. Miyagi downs William. Lorena Scott going to look for that refrag. There's that shotgun. Lorena, notorious for using that, and also the silenced pistol, so I wonder if he's also got that in his kit, in his ensemble. He does indeed.
Don't know why you wouldn't run it on a night map. It's actually kind of advantageous. A little bit more confusion on top of that night mode, NVG combination. So
I definitely think it's important to note that we are on 1.5, so the way night vision works is definitely different than how it historically has. Lighting affects night vision, so if you have a flashlight and you shine it into the eyes of a person with night vision, it'll kind of just make it harder to see. You can't. I don't know if the obviously the laser sight's still very effective with night vision on night maps, but on day maps that's no longer an option. There's some adjustments, but ultimately, yeah, I guess that I don't think he has a laser on that pistol though.
No, and it doesn't make sense on a night map because other players are using NVGs and they'll see your
true.
laser pretty easily. So that's not something I would have expected. But we have seen a trade come out. Now we're in this 2v3. Mr. Serious should have heard Aramita coming around here, around this corner.
Raiders taking some shots over there. Just over the head, and there is the down from Mr. Serious. The trade here, and Lorena catches another with that shotgun. He's on objective. He's punching in code. How could they let this happen? How could they let this huge gap in their defense occur, Lorena?
No rotations coming out from Legionnaires there. I don't think they checked tablets. I was over on that lane 4 camera just watching, who is that? Mr. Miyagi, I think, and no tablets came out. They weren't checking to see if their teammates were up.
Wow. Lorena. I mean, that's 2 shotgun kills and a cap. What a round.
Yeah, a pretty quick one at that. They ended up doing just about 3.5 minutes there, not going the full 6.
No, that's down to the wire then, because we started at 3.5 minutes.
What do we loop back to? Well, we just started 6, so
it loops back to SIP. Okay.
Yeah, it was about 4. It wasn't the full round.
That's why we gotta keep. You gotta keep doing the math. Oh man.
Math is not my strong suit. Y'all have seen my casts. It just doesn't
it's
work
not
sometimes.
mine either, so we're really in a hole.
We need mathematicians. Apply on our Discord.
We need mathematicians. But what a great start for Rome, and honestly, I don't know how this series is gonna shake out. Do you think because that was really back and forth. Lorena was the last one alive.
Yeah, he really just exploited the death of his teammate in lane 4. He moved at the same time that I don't, pardon me for not remembering who went down there at the end. But Yeah, so they had been focusing on him, both of them, because Mr. Sirius, it was Mr. Sirius, not Meowgi, that I was talking about.
Okay.
Mr. Sirius and Raider were both watching that lane 4. Raider took shots on him, and then Sirius was the one that finished him. They weren't paying attention. They just let the objective go. No rotations came out. Yeah, that's that great play from Rome, who, as we said right at the beginning of the cast, have just been firing on all cylinders this season.
We are diving into round number 2. A reminder again for 2 things that what we're seeing here. Colors are wrong above your teammate on the team. So Rome is technically blue, but they're colored red, and Legionnaires are technically red, but they're colored blue. And our timer is about 2 minutes ahead. So a couple of spectate bugs we hope to have ironed out here eventually. But for now, we just have to deal with them and keep you informed.
Arena Scout gonna grab Meowgi there with the shield, pointing the shield towards his teammates.
These guys take control of this corner so incredibly fast. I don't know how he hasn't been shot yet either. He gets a fantastic nade out onto Sirius. And he is on the bulk. Just because he's blue does not mean he's on Marsuck, even though he's pushing like it. He's got 2 down here on the corner. William catches another, and Legionnaires are just being pinched badly. The shield here, Lorena catches 1 with the shoddy and 2. Ugh.
That was with a shield shoddy combo. 1-hand shotgun, 1-hand shield over the barrier.
Merciless. William Dunce kills himself with the nade, and Kitten Mittens gets a little gap in the defense to move through. But that objective is tightly locked down. They have a nice U shape around it. It's going to be really hard for him to move in, and Lucky catches him on the rotation through that little gap, and Legionnaires are kicking things off strong with a 3-0 lead. Or sorry, no, Rome is. The score is, that's wrong too. That's another thing that's going on.
We will adjust those scores as we go.
They're accurate on the it's the round display that throws us off over here. But what a start! I mean, Rome are really looking. I mean, dude, this is a relatively fresh team, and they're just rolling over Legionnaires right now on this map.
Yeah, I mean they've got a pretty solid lineup of players, though. The team was relatively new, and I think that was the discussion in a lot of the cast last season that we did for Rome, was that, you know, the conglomerate of players was new, but the players themselves are strong. I mean, we've seen a lot of these guys playing either as reservists or just in competitive lobbies, and they are no slouches.
You know, still though, it's still an impressive feat, because you look at some of those other, a team like Space Force, who's in a similar situation, very veteran players but new team, and they're still having some trouble against some of those top tier teams. Granted, we'll see how they develop over this course of the season. They're definitely going to be a team to watch. But I mean, Rome, they're playing strong right now.
Yeah, they had all of last season to sort of shore up. They had a pretty decent showing in the wild card, if I remember correctly as well. I think they were one of the top 4 contenders in the wild card at the end of the season. So yeah, I think Space Force is going to be that same sort of scenario where they need that season to sort of get used to each other, figure out the play styles, you know, figure out their spots, and then yeah, I think they're going to make their mark either at the end of the season or next season.
Diving into round number 3 here. Colors are in order, but the timer is just a touch off. It'll reset for us, and we'll just have to remind ourselves that it started at about a minute.
Yeah, we've got Rome memorizing the code. I think we know what they're going for. We'll see if they get the chance to close this out 5-0 against Legionnaires. Like,
yeah.
Do you think that's going to happen, Knight? What are you thinking here?
That is very bold, and they play so fast. It's so risky. I mean, Kitten's here. He's in almost the back line now of this Rome defense. Raiders trying to deal with the shield. I don't know if cap is even what you need right now. especially with an objective like this. It's not exactly an easy one to get a cap off of them. They're already into a 3v3, one Resable. They've lost control of Burning Building, which is not good. Kitman's trying to find Lorena here in the carport. He does, and then gets team killed.
That's the night map working against you there.
Oh, look at this nade, though. Right on Lucky. A great toss from Miyagi, an instant confirm. And just like that, Rome, with their over-aggression going for that cap, ultimately costing them in Aramida, see if he can pull off the 1v3.
He doesn't have a ton of options here. It's pretty much locked down. This is the time to rotate out and approach from maybe the lane 1 angle instead.
After that push, you're absolutely right. The entire defense is rotated and shifted to cover this particular spot where everybody was. You wrapped around to APC. He might be able to catch 1 or 2 out. I don't know what he thought. Maybe we're not seeing the right objective or what, but he looked like he was going for a cap there on the corner.
Yeah, the objective...
Oh, I definitely wasn't seeing the objective.
Yeah, the objective was not correct on my map. Yeah.
That's why they... That makes sense. Okay, that push makes sense.
Yeah, that was a strong push for the objective that the players were seeing, but still the rotation should have come out. I mean, that was a lot of people to commit, and especially once you lose 2 or 3, it's hard to make that aggressive push without having a full count on the defense as well.
I mean, either way, the Legionnaires, a nice defense, a nice hold there, get themselves on the board. Or sorry, no, that was... Oh gosh, I'm confused now.
No, that's Legionnaires. You are correct. Legionnaires. It's just the colors aren't changing.
Okay,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Legionnaires did get that point. They got the defensive win. There's that solid defense we were talking about, though. That's the entrenched Legionnaires that I was used to, and the rotations were coming out there. So once they started losing a couple players, they reinforced the back line. I think that they had just been spread too thin in the last one, and again, it was sort of a nice misdirection play by Rome that got them that early cap. But Legionnaires aren't out of it yet. These guys have been around for a long time. The series could still go either way.
Yeah, these guys, the veteran players do not go down easy, no matter what team they're on. They'll fight their way down to that last round.
Tooth and nail.
Yeah, I can definitely see Legionnaires grabbing hold here, riding some momentum. It's going to be tough. I don't know how... What they have to be careful of is Rome's early aggression on defense coming up, because I think that's what's going to catch them out, and that's what really cost them that last offensive round with Lorena Scout pushing up so early with that shotgun and just wreaking some havoc on their corner push.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that could have gone a couple of different ways depending on the equipment placement, but is what it is, and we're jumping into this next round.
Another confusing setup for anybody watching. Timer is off. Starts at 3. Colors are wrong. But hey, we're here and you're seeing the action, so you can imagine it right in your head.
We'll get it right in the end. Just wait until the end score. We'll get it all figured out. Don't you worry about it.
There's going on the offensive. Where's Lorena? That's my earliest concern, because he's definitely...
He's on the burning building porch currently. He's gonna get Miyagi and Kagan here pretty soon.
I mean, the shotgun doesn't really deal with the shield any more effectively than any other gun. So he could get caught up here. A nade right on the corner. Oh, just not far enough.
There's the nade coming back out. Oh, it's a flash. Flash coming out on Miyagi. He is blinded, and there's Lorena. He doesn't need just the shotgun to finish the shield. That flash shotgun does grab that for him.
William Dunce catches out Kitten Mittens. Mr. Serious goes down from some C4 tossed up over the ledge. Raider catches out 1, but they're into a 4v2. Legionnaires in a bit of a bind here.
Yeah, this could very well be map point for the defense. I mean, this is a dream situation, right? You got your offense all split up. They're not right next to each other. They don't have sight lines on each other. They don't have a full count either. This is the time they're going to make mistakes.
Watch for flankers.
Raider is diligent. He's trying to make sure that they don't get flanked, which is wise. They had Will there for a while, looking like he could have wrapped around the backside and caught both of them, but I think it's important to also remember the objective's right here on the corner, right?
It is indeed.
Ooh.
The nade finish with the bounce off of that Humvee grabs that win for Rome. Don't
look at that.
Don't look at that. The map, Suburbia 2, first map of the series, goes to Rome 4-1. I didn't expect that. I really didn't.
We need the rankings. I need to know what the MMR. Or I know what the MMR, but I want to know what the global ranking is of both teams. Because right now we're looking at a silver v gold situation here, where Rome definitely looking at an opportunity to go up in that star ranking system if they can get a strong win against Legionnaires. I mean, they just took this first map 4-1. We suspect it was their map pick, but
yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking. But so Legionnaires is ranked 11 currently, and they both actually have the same statistics. But Legionnaires is rank 11, and Rome is 21 in the league, so worldwide. But they do have the same win-loss, so they're 2-2, 4 games played. However, Legionnaires has put up 6 more points overall, right? So map points.
What's the MMR difference?
The MMR difference is 20 MMR, from 1200 to 1220 for Legionnaires.
So nice opportunity here to go up. I don't know. It could be a decent swing depending on how these next few maps shake out, but yeah, very strong performance from Rome. Legionnaires, though, not looking bad. Their defensive rounds were definitely good. They put up fights. They didn't. I don't think there was any 5-0 sweeps or anything like that. But wow.
I mean, Lorena Scout was definitely the MVP of that scenario. He was 7-2 with a cap under his belt.
Yeah. Absolutely. He was doing some work with the shotgun. He is a poster boy for the Onward shotgun.
And it looks like we do have our second map selected.
And we're diving into Quarantine for map number 2. And this is definitely a good test to see if Rome can keep that teamwork and consistent play going, because Quarantine is a very strategical map, consistently picked in Onward matches because of all the different viable strategies for every different objective, and also because it just enforces a lot of teamwork, so the more veteran teams definitely prefer it. And here we are, what could be the deciding map for Rome.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, the statistics for Legionnaires on Quarantine are pretty even. About 50%. They played about 19 or 20 times, 110. Rome, however, not quite as good. So this is definitely, I think, the Legionnaires' pick. Rome's played 7 Quarantine 1 rounds and have won 1 of those rounds. So not the best Quarantine players, at least early on in the league, and it doesn't seem to be one of their most highly selected maps. So I think this is Legionnaires' answer back. We could be seeing a 1-1 series at the end of this if I remember my Legionnaires on Quarantine correctly, which I believe I do. It's going to be an interesting matchup. The interesting thing about Legionnaires on Quarantine is the way that they play the map. It's such a big open map, but they play it very slow and very methodical and find these really interesting angles and corners, even on offense, to approach the objective from, they're really hard to spot.
And you know what? We got a good one here. No tomfoolery. All the times are right. All the colors are correct. Legionnaires versus Rome. Map 2, round 1 underway. I'm anticipating a better fight from Legionnaires here. I really am.
I think that's what we want to make an exciting series, and we're not going to see what Rome is, or Gladiator. Sorry, choose that name every time. Gladiator pushing up real aggressive here. He's going to be in a good spot to catch these guys coming off of Hardware Hill. If they decide to make their peaks, I'm not sure he's going to play that aggressive, but this position is new. I don't think I've seen too many teams push up this far.
I just heard Raiders say watch the fuselage, so they're definitely eyes on here. I think they may have caught a glimpse of Gladiator on that rotation, just the tail end, so they're aware. I mean, look at how trained Kagan is, just to make sure. But, I mean, what's the point there, just to guard the street crossing?
Yeah, I think it's just an easier shot to make. In case somebody wants to cross that north street, but Legionnaire's not opting to do that. And for this objective, you don't really have to. The approach from the north tends to be the most favored. It's the most cover heavy, and it gives you a little bit of that high ground advantage that you definitely want when you're coming in. So it's not something I would plan for, but the south spawn is possible here. So if that was the case, Rome would have been, or sorry, Gladiator would have been caught out early on.
Yeah, I mean, he's still exposed even to the north. If they decide to take that rooftop, he's an easy pick down there for anybody up there. Kagan does spot him trying to rotate around. He was diligently holding the angle on that fuselage, and it's a nice early start for Legionnaires, turning it into a 5v4.
Sometimes you got to try new things on maps that you guys don't have great records on. So it's an interesting strategy, and this is the reason that, you know, teams love getting cast sometimes. They'll take a look at the tapes later and say, yeah, you know what, that maybe it wasn't a great idea, and change it up next time around. But we sure love seeing all them new strats, guys.
I like the thought process. What you're saying is absolutely right. It's definitely an easier shot, a better angle, but a bit exposed, and when you get a little overzealous, prone to being caught out. Mr. Miyagi identified another Rome defender on the west side.
He got to the bottom floor.
And really great communication coming out of Legionnaires.
He's in the west side twins, bottom floor.
Definitely showing the veteran teamwork and play there.
Bottom floor, that's the last time I saw where he dropped.
Yeah, William Dunce is now rotated out, pushing up a little aggressive. He might be able to catch out who's that Raider, who's pushed up on the other side of that wall, but he is gonna start making that push pretty soon. But this is that Legionnaire's slow pace I was talking about.
Yeah, they're definitely taking their time. They do have to start advancing a little bit. The smoke's there, indicating they may try and cross that street pretty soon. William Dunce is just waiting for that tiny gap, but they've already one has already crossed there. I don't think they're going to send anybody else over there either. But I mean, what's the plan here? They have 3 up on the roof, 230 left. The smokes are coming out.
I think the only way they're going to get across is if they grab William Dunce. It's got to be done carefully, and honestly, it would have been Raider in the best position to do that, but his smoke sort of blinded him to that.
Ooh.
He can grab that kill. Wow, and there's what they needed. William Dunce going down
Raiders.
in the corner of that coach.
Oh, wow, what a great pick from Aramita. He ID'd Raider inside the smoke, took the shots. And one thing to note about 1.5 is these smokes are tough to deal with. The way they protrude out of the can is definitely different than in the past. It's not a really volume around the can, it's an angle. I wonder if that just kind of played into effect of how visible he was, but that street's open. They got that fantastic nade. Aramita and Lorena Scout really the only ones defending.
You're going to see that check nade. Aramita's going to catch it and go down for his team, and now there's 3 revivable on Rome. Lorena Scout's in trouble.
Oh, look at his nade, though. Great flash. Both of those guys completely blind on the other side of the wall. Allows him to rotate maybe around the back side of the building. He's going to drop all the way back. But he can't. You have to stay tight on objective. He goes down. from Kitten Mittens holding the backside, and Legionnaires kicking off their comeback 1-0.
Yeah, I think that was best case scenario there for Rome. I think that rotation, although maybe not as tight as he would have wanted it, but getting that death is way better than getting the cap that Legionnaires were hoping for there.
This is a bit more indicative of what we were sort of anticipating, a bit more back and forth. We'll see how Rome reacts, see how they what kind of offensive strategy they come up with, but very strong coordination from Legionnaires, great grenades to catch out a few key kills and allow them to push forward like they did.
Yeah, and I want to take a minute to talk about that. So you're talking about the smokes when they were being thrown. So there's an interesting balance to them now, right? So they do have better cover. They seem to obfuscate the view a little bit better than before. However, that directional smoke development that comes out of the smoke canister itself is actually kind of a roll of the dice, right? Because before you used to be able to just place a couple of smokes, you know, sort of willy-nilly on the street, maybe 2 or 3, and block your cross. But now if you toss the smoke, you know, a little too carelessly, you could get, you know, maybe the canister's pointing in 2 different directions, leaving a giant hole in your smoke wall. Like, it's an interesting balance that they did with those smoke grenades. So I'm interested to see how that works.
I mean, have you found any tactics to make sure that the canister goes in an angle you want it? Because if you're trying to go for a long-range smoke, how do you get that canister to be perfectly tossed?
Well, see, that's the thing. I think that was added as a like a sort of a dice roll mechanic to it, right? Because smokes used to be pretty punishing in their scope and size. Obviously, they were causing performance issues, but in the ways that they're being utilized now, they've sort of added this. I mean, it's realistic. That's the way actual smoke canisters work. So they added that extra bit of realism, but it is a dice roll now. Now, if you're sort of whipping grenades across the map, you don't really know where your smoke is going to develop, so you may need to commit more smokes to do the same thing. So it's kind of I think it's going to be interesting in some of the high-tier matchups what happens when that tactical smoke doesn't develop properly, right? Like when people can't get across North and South Street, what are people going to do to correct it? It's just an interesting thing that I've been noticing watching the cast and playing the games lately.
Great start, though. Series is starting to shape up now. I was a bit concerned that Rome might run away with it. The potential was there. They had a great start on that first Suburbia map, and I mean, we've seen series go bad early where 8 points go up on that board quick, and it was definitely an important Marsoc round to grab nonetheless. We'll see if Legionnaires now can shift onto the defensive and be just as effective. They were good on Suburbia, so I anticipate them to be strong here. Rome's definitely got a bit of work cut out for him.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for them. I mean, this is, I think, Legionnaire's favorite map, if I'm not mistaken, or at least one of their favorite maps. Bazaar being a very oft-played one for them as well. But you know, when teams get their favorite maps like that and practice on them, and you don't do your homework, you don't study your tapes, you're definitely going to struggle. So I'm just curious to see if they're going to be aware of the positions of some of Legionnaire's players, because a lot of them do play sort of, I don't want to say static positions, but very similar positioning on different objectives that if you studied your tapes, you could have a bit of an advantage on. So I think that's going to be the deciding factor for Rome.
Might be in a bit of a technical timeout, potentially. Legionnaires down 1 member as we await the start of the second round in quarantine. I don't think they're going to be subbing anybody, considering they had a strong start, but it is curious. Hopefully we're not held up too long here.
While we're waiting for the round to start, what do you think our third map is going to be? I mean, do you think it's going to matter if it's a 1-1 or not? Do you think Rome has a back pocket sort of map?
Yeah, I think Subway is definitely up on the plate, considering how they picked these unorthodox ones like Suburbia and Night. I think also Tanker is definitely a potential option, although Tanker's been getting played more. So I don't think Tanker's as much as a pocket pick as it used to be. I think teams are getting strats kind of honed in on that map. And you can't really just assume teams are going to be weak on it anymore. So I don't know. Maybe Subway is where I'm going to lean.
Yeah, that's an interesting... I mean, Tanker is one of those maps that either you practice it to death and you know every corner very well. It doesn't take that long. It's a relatively small map. But I just don't think it's the favorite pick of a lot of teams. I think it's sort of that, let's throw a curveball at a team, you know, based on their statistics. I'm leaning maybe towards more of a cargo. I think with Lorena's, you know, excellent shotgun and pistol capabilities, cargo is kind of the map for him. It's shorter sight lines, and it gives him that opportunity to be really aggressive. But I don't know. I mean, Legionnaires' defenses can be pretty entrenched. It's hard to be aggressive against that kind of D. So we'll see. We'll see what it is. Maybe the chat will guess better than we will what that third map will be.
I think while we wait, we'll toss you over to a brief intermission. Legionnaires versus Rome, map number 2. Just patiently awaiting that Legionnaires 5th. Oh, actually, he's here, so maybe we won't have to do it. Just in the nick of time.
You just got to threaten it. That's the key.
Yep. We got to shake our fists angrily at the screen. They can feel the presence across the internet. I don't think we'll have to cut the intermission. I think we'll be on our way shortly enough here. It's worthwhile sticking around.
Who doesn't love listening to the smooth sounds of our voices as well?
Oh, yeah.
On this fine Thursday.
The classical VRML music being played in your ears, and the sweet, sweet tone of a countdown timer as we hop in to our second round of the second map. In what has shaped up to be a pretty dang good matchup to watch so far. Rome performing very well, but Legionnaires now stepping up their pace. Going on the defensive, trying to get 2 up here.
So they do get mirrored spawns, which is going to give us a really good sight into how these teams approach this. But Rome taking their sweet time getting out of spawn here, just trading equipment, hanging out. Just two players able to actually make it out of spawn. So I've never been a fan of that. I've never been a fan of sticking around in the spawn too long. You end up giving the defense too much of an advantage, too much time to set up in their positions. You know, you're not going to catch as many rotations that way, but maybe they got something up their sleeve. I did see a drone there, I think, on Gladiator's back, so
yeah,
maybe
that is something that they definitely like to use. They'll break out that drone. I mean, very few teams break out the drone. It's an effective tool if utilized correctly. You can draw out players. You can find, you know, defensive positionings that'll allow you to easily nade those positions. If they can identify, for example, where Raider is in this rubble, that's a huge identify. If they can make sure that that rooftop is clear, that's great information to know. It allows you to make all sorts of moves, and Raider's definitely worried. You can see his kind of eyes into that audio cue.
yeah, that's one of the other great benefits of it is it does sort of distract the defense a little bit because some people will just go hunting for it. They'll go looking for where the drone is and not pay attention to their sight lines. I've seen a lot of teams do it. Honestly, I've done it myself where I've looked for the drone instead of watching my angle and been punished for it. So it's got a lot of good uses. I think once teams see it used effectively, they'll start using it a lot more, and it's pretty much right on Meowgi right now.
Uh-oh, I think we had a drop on Legionnaires down to a 4-man.
Yeah, that is correct.
Is accurate. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think they had a drop earlier as well, so.
Yeah, it was they lost the upstairs of the burning building right above Kitten Mittens there. That was the other player that had dropped out, but I think Meowgi's position is now known to the offense. The drone is right next to him. The drone's gone now, but they at least spotted one out. Yeah, Kagan giving himself away with the gunfire, and now it looks like Lorena is hunting for Meowgi, but Meowgi's aware as well with that grenade.
Solid toss. He's camouflaged here into these palm trees. Taking some shots, though. They should know he's here on this hill. Lorena doesn't have... I mean, I guess the silenced pistol does have the range, so if he can get that shot...
I mean, Miyagi in such an exposed position, even trying to get this kill. He doesn't know that there's not another member of the offense on the backside of that hill. And, yeah, there's some shots coming out from Lorena onto Miyagi's position. It's just so aggressive and so un-Legionnaires-liked to take that sort of a high ground, you know, here, come shoot at me sort of position.
Maybe he feels pressured to after losing one. Trying to catch out. Get a pick. Get themselves evened out. Get that roster evened out. Shots from Kitten.
Now we're seeing Aramita cross over here into the blue dumpster by the tank courtyard. Raider not able to spot him out. Combination of the smokes on the rubble block in his view. But again, see that? I mean, the gaps in that smoke is interesting to me. Lucky AF. Grabbed by Raider from that corner. Not enough coverage there. Lorena does win that standoff battle in the north, and now the entire north is open for him to approach however he pleases. He's got great sight lines onto Kagan from here. That could be an easy pick for him based on his position.
William getting into a bit of an exchange with that south defender. Kagan shooting through that wall gap. Raider catching out Gladiator, a huge pick to even it into a 3v3. And Aramita is starting to cross out completely out in the open. If Kitten just takes a little gander over here, he's got an easy kill.
Yeah, this is part of the trusting your teammates a little too much. Sometimes you just assume that they're watching, but now Kitten's up there. Is he going to look over to the left? Nope. Suppressing fire from Lorena is going to keep him down, and now Aramita's going to hear Raider making those expletive call-outs.
William on the backside, rotating in, does find Kagan. Kit Mittens draws his attention there, catches out Will, so a trade there into a 2v2. Aramita inching his way up onto the corner, gets the back end of Raider into a 1v2. Can Kitten holds it off, or will they go for the cap? They have 42 seconds left on the clock, so not a ton of time. Kitten's really has to hunker down. And he doesn't. He gets a bit exposed up there on the second story of Burning. And Rome find themselves with the Marsoc round answering back, tying it up 1-1.
That was an interesting series. So, not what I would have expected, but I have to say that I think the drop from Legionnaires there definitely affected the outcome. Because, you know, obviously there were 2-to-1 man, and it's a hard engagement to win, you know, no matter how good you are. Sometimes just 2 sets of bullets firing at you ain't good enough. So I think that had something to do with it, but it was a pretty good play there crossing that street. He was really quiet, really patient as he came across, and grabbed those 2 in the center. I mean, they had no idea he was there. It
was a 4v5 too.
Yeah, it's about as good a play as you can make crossing that street, especially with how dangerous that burning building Overwatch can be.
You know, if Kitten had just taken a gander over there instead of just trusting in Radar's sights, he would have had that kill. Would have been another win for Legionnaires there.
Yeah, definitely something that we as casters are very aware of, but when you're in this game, as I'm sure many of our viewers know, that's a tough call to make. It's just, there's a lot of things to do when you're the last man standing, and they played a good round nonetheless, and I'm sure we'll be seeing them duke it out again. I don't think this is going to be a clean sweep for either team. I mean, obviously it's not a clean sweep, but I don't think it's going to be a sweep in any direction. I'm predicting maybe a 4-2 at most. But I think there's going to be points on the board here for both teams still.
Yeah, there's no really... not a lot of opportunity for Rome to catch Legionnaires off guard here. I think maybe opportunities arose on Suburbia 2. And I think that's, if Legionnaires get this map, it's going to be a big decider of how the series rolls out and what that third map is, if it's going to be a night map. If it'll be some subway or something unorthodox, or if it's going to be cargo, something tight range. Who knows? We'll have to play it out, shake it out, and see how this map unfolds as we dive into round 3 of map number 2. A tie ball game here, and it's been a good one so far. Legionnaires putting up a good fight, but Rome performing very well as well.
Yeah, this objective is going to be an interesting one as well. The spawn for Legionnaires is, in my opinion, the least favorite of the spawns you could get. Yeah, the callouts are coming out from Rome, so they have already been spotted. It makes this approach so difficult if you're not careful with how you take your offense across these streets, and there's just so many angles to watch. It's going to be an interesting one for both sides. I'm kind of curious how this Legionnaires, and it's a bit of an aggressive Legionnaires offense, is going to try and take this on.
Yeah, they taking some early shots. This objective is interesting. Depending on how they position and defend, this whole front side can be unguarded. Lucky AF and William Dunce, they do have some decent angles to check into the middle of the map. Lucky AF is going to have to kind of get exposed if he wants to take a gander into the middle. But this objective can get interesting because teams, if they know it, they can go very fast right up to the front side of objective here and get right up into this courtyard. But it just takes the knowledge and a little bit, obviously, of luck depending on how the team positions its defense.
Yeah, and this defense is very forward as well, which is something that I'm not super used to. It's a lot of players sort of on the outskirts of the objective, not staying. No one's on it. No one's close, right? So if you lose one side of it too fast, if William and who is that over there? I don't think I'm even getting a name over his head. Aramita are taken out somehow. It's going to take a long time to rotate through. I mean, Lorena's the only backup. And even then, it's pretty tough to see over that hill. So, I don't know. This is very interesting. Both sides are doing something interesting. But this is, again, now we've seen the Legionnaires slow up a little. They took their positions. Sirius grabs William Dunce on a call out from a teammate. And now they are into a 5v4.
And for your information, that's a turbine.
This is a really odd push there. You wouldn't expect to be so forward like that, just because it's so easy for someone to drop south, and it's just a lot of risky positioning there. They're just taking some shots from Lucky AF on the roof.
Rooftop.
Legionnaires are moving in a decent time. 3:26 left on the clock. Wow, words are hard.
Just like numbers. And the numbers are against Legionnaires here as they only have 3 minutes to push this. This could be a tough one, but Raider grabs a great headshot over that AC unit from the rubble.
I shot him at the rooftop. He might be down.
And now it's 5-3.
The numbers are in Legionnaires' favor. They're going to throw a nade up there just to confirm it. That would have been a great nade if he was downed. Definitely not needed, but always good to confirm those kills. I don't know. What do you think of the remaining 3 defending here? Don't have it's interesting positions.
This Aramita position that I'm looking at is I don't want to say useless. That seems mean, but it just has no benefit. I mean, sure, you can catch the rotation from the far east at this point, but you are not going to make objective if they come, over the white. Sort of over the hill and onto the white truck. There's no way you're going to make that shot cleanly. It's very dangerous. I would have expected to see a rotation already, and Miyagi grabbing Lorena Scout in that hill position in the back, and now it's a 5v2.
Wow. Legionnaires. When all 5 are alive, they're firing on all cylinders. And they got to be looking for cap here. They have to be thinking that, because if they can get the proper smokes out, Aramita's position... he realizes this, and he's rotated to a bit more of a forward position, because if he stays back there, those smokes could allow for enough time for a cap. If Aramita goes down and Gladiator is distracted, cap's also on the table, so they definitely have to keep that on their mind. Great push from Kittens. Catches Gladiator out. And now they're into a 1v5. Kagan's coming up on the backside of Aramita along with Mr. Sirius. They should have him out pretty easily. Kagan, the great frag, and the smokes came, but a bit too late. Legionnaires take the lead 2-1.
Yeah, that is a sad miss for a cap opportunity, but a good win for Legionnaires, keeping it rolling on the offense. We've seen offensive trades on Quarantine, which, I don't know, I would have said maybe last season is kind of uncommon, but a lot of offensive wins on Quarantine lately.
Yeah.
It's offenses are just getting real good on it, and there's just too many choices for where defense can set up, and you end up sort of pivoting and rotating and, you know, checking the wrong corners too many times. So
I'd say we're definitely seeing some unorthodox positioning on defense as well. I mean, some very forward positions from both sides, trying to get some picks. I think just a more traditional, tight defense is what's needed on Quarantine here if they want to get that Volk defensive round. I guess depending on what objective we end up switching over to after this. I mean, you can play this one really tight. Like I said, you can let them have the entire map except for this one pocket where objective is.
And it's relatively simple to do so. There's really only, I would say, maybe about 7 different angles to cover between 5 people. You know, if you're playing really tucked in. You obviously have to worry about, you know, smokes and frags, but that aside, it's a pretty, I mean, we've seen teams run that tight defense and close it out pretty easily.
Yeah.
So I would be surprised here if the Legionnaires defense was as thin as the Rome defense was on their run.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the 2-1 lead. They're looking to go into that next Marsoc round 3-1. I mean, honestly, if they can get a 5-1, they've evened out the scoreline. Or actually, they get ahead in the scoreline. So, looking at the future of what could be this map in the series, that third map could get real interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's what we are hoping for.
Of course.
Nobody came here to watch a blowout, so I think this has been so good so far, and we're happy everybody's tuned in with us for this game on this fine Thursday evening. And those lovely, lovely sounds of the next round starting as we dive into round 4. Legionnaires now hoping to grab that first Volk win. Get them a nice cushy lead in this second map of the series.
That's it. One round, 50 megabytes of data. Did you know that?
See some C4 here. Raiders hand. Huh.
And Roma's getting that crater spawn, so they're going to be a little bit harder to spot out early. William Dunce was checking down the corridor. Not sure if he was spotted out by Legionnaires just yet. Kagan was watching that position.
Yeah, I do not like Rome's setup on this spawn. They spread out in this crater. It's just no good. You have to move out of here right away. Well, at least that's my opinion. We'll see if they can win this Marsoc round again. What do I know, right?
Not a whole lot, if you ask me. I'm just kidding. But Gladiator is going to know a whole lot because he's got that drone out. He's going to try to grab those positions for his team. And you know what? Maybe that's the play here. Maybe stay tucked in. Don't give yourself away. Let the drone do some of the work.
Or
And
none of the work. That gets caught out.
Only some of the work is what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Miyagi grabs that quick. And now they're going to have to push up with limited intel, I would say.
It is. Why have Miyagi hold the C4 detonator? Is it because that's their last line of defense?
Yeah, generally speaking, you want the person least likely to die to hold the C4 as long as he knows the position of the C4. Has to be called out. William Dunst getting grabbed on that wall by Kagan. I think Kagan was watching him that whole time as he moved up that wall. But yeah, you definitely want your last remaining player to be the one that has the C4 clacker, because if you're in the thick of it and you've got your C4 down, you're not going to be much use. I think that is the right play there.
Yeah. I think you'd also want to be able to, use it though. If you can position, I guess the way they positioned it, it's not meant to catch anybody out around a corner. It's meant to get them once they've already rounded the corner. So makes sense to put it in that back line. A nade lobbed up and over, doesn't land onto Kagan, but Gladiator's here on objective. Gladiator was on objective, pad out, and Miyagi manages to catch him in the corner.
The stones on that play. That would have been quite the interesting play, and that smoke might have been a little bit more useful about 15 seconds ago, but a little too far even now. And now we're seeing a response. Nade Lorena going down from Sirius before the nade can even reach him. Sirius grabs from the roof, and Rome is in big old trouble here. Legionnaires looking to go up 3-1.
Yeah, they want this map. They need the answer back. It's looking good for them. They're riding momentum well. If they can shut down Rome like this, keep their guys alive, be a fantastic way to go into that what could be that last Marsoc round. And I think this is where playing it slow kind of bites you. They're stuck here in this crater with just the two of them. What are your options? Crossing the street, pretty much off the table at this point because Sirius is on the roof. You don't have enough utility to really make any serious moves towards objective. Although I do think Legionnaires has some pretty big gaps in their defense. Like Aramita can just come strolling up here.
Well, we saw Gladiator do it,
Right.
so I would not be shocked if that same hole was exploited. And again, it's just those two really defending it, right? Sirius would have a bit of a trek off the roof to get there. Kit Mittens doesn't have a great sight line on the other side of the hill. Raider as well would be caught out, so it's just 2v2 for now. If they can grab those two closest to OBJ, they'll have a great shot at it.
Lucky AF. Yeah, not landing those shots on the roof. Might have mistaken them for landing, though, because I think Sirius hit the deck.
Question is, was it fast enough? Was it Globo fast?
Was it chest hurting fast?
Gotta get those stacked yoga mats to make that drop. But Lucky AF now rotating around, trying to catch out Sirius peeking again, but I don't think he's gonna make that same mistake again. And Aramita gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar, just like Rome, making a play for that objective again without his teammate. Not sure where the coordination was there. Lucky had obviously nothing to do with that push.
Yeah, you're right. It was so clear that on Suburbia 2 that they had that coordination, that they had the plans. Their smokes coming in at the same time. Maybe that fast play lending into them being able to do it well. So yeah, maybe that cargo map is going to be what could be that third map pick. Just so they can get back to close quarters combat, because it does seem like stretching things out like this is sort of separating their teamwork a bit.
He's looking for this roof pick on Mr. Sirius. Oh, the timing might have just been wrong, but he does grab Mittens, finds Sirius on the roof, and just like that, two are down.
Maybe he can muster the 1v5, the miraculous. Will he be ready for Kagan right here on the corner? He is not, and Kagan catches out the remaining member of Rome, and Legionnaires take the lead 3-1.
Yeah, and he had actually run out of time there, so it was a time loss and a kill to boot.
That's
ran it a little bit too tight.
Is your announcement wrong?
No, I got the ran out of time.
Mine says Rome
the timer
wins.
was correct. Oh yeah, that announcement was correct. Yeah. Yeah, Rome did not, unfortunately, win that one, but the scores are correct.
Yeah. They are indeed.
Take them where you can get them, And we are seeing Legionnaires pull it back. So this is what we expected. Quarantine is that map for them. But a defensive win for Rome here could turn it all around. It's there. I know it's there. You know, we've seen them do it. You just mentioned it. Suburbia 2 was a great showing for them. They're clearly capable of it. They just have to rally. They haven't been capped on. You know, nothing devastating has happened yet. They started off strong. They just got to keep it up. So I'm still sticking strong with my potential 4-2, maybe even a 4-3 for this map win. And we'll see here as well, because the objective has changed. So it's pretty similar. It's the one on the northwest street corner. And this one is probably one of my favorite objectives to watch, because it opens up from all sides, right? This has a lot of different approaches. It's one of the better ones, I think, in my opinion, for this map, aside from the center glass objective, which is my personal favorite. But if any defense, you know, could hold out an objective, it's going to be this one. It's just going to depend on what that Legionnaires approach looks like.
Yeah, a lot relies on if you position people over here at the at this cockpit and how you do that, and if that person is effectively naded or smoked out. There's a lot of key positions that have to be taken if you want to ensure that you're gonna cover this objective, because I think if a few smokes are placed effectively, it becomes very hard to defend. You have to sort of swarm it.
Yeah, Legionnaires definitely have that swarm mentality. We just saw it 2 rounds ago as they cleaned up Rome on that offensive approach, and we'll see if they can do it again.
We're gonna scout off the shotgun and onto the rifle.
The man's dangerous no matter what gun you put in his hands.
See if that is the case. If he can hold, get his team another round and keep him going, try and go for that series. Now again, Kittens rotating nicely along this far north side, pretty free and easy since Rome hasn't invested anybody up over here covering north.
That was me. Sorry, I bumped it.
And this Legionnaires approach is methodical. You can tell they really want to encircle this objective, so they're grabbing their north side there with Miyagi and Mittens, making their approach, checking the angles, trying to set up. Meanwhile, the guys in the south and the east, well, relative north-south, are taking their time.
Oh, I was worried they had another drop for a second there. They just have one way in the back covering their flank.
And they're really expecting, I think it's Gladiator. Gladiator loves those flanks. We've seen them a lot in the games we've cast in the past. He loves to sweep around behind the offense, and can tell Legionnaires did their homework here because they've dedicated one man. And honestly, that's a strategy in and of itself, right? You've now dedicated one member of your offense entirely to just watching an angle. He's not making the approach. He's not using equipment with you. So they're almost a man down on this offensive push.
Tried and true hole here. Raider, the trade on Lorena. Lorena getting really aggressive with the flash, coming out around the corner. Does get one, and Rome take an early 5-4 lead. But Lorena, I don't know if he's safe to stay there for too much longer. Yaugi gets William. He's about to get picked up here on the corner by Aramita, but Aramita has his back exposed to Kittens, and trades are coming across the board left and right. Will he be able to also get another one out in that courtyard by Plane Wing? He does get the call out there, and now he has to be worried about Lucky, who's looking for the shots on the backside as he ducks behind cover just in time.
This is not what Kitten wants. Trapped pretty much literally between a rock and a hard place. He does manage to suppress him off the corner, but now, oh, Lorena scout rotated out as well, and Mittens is able to cross that open gap. Gladiator, the only one now watching this angle.
Yeah, Lorena had to get out of there. Kagan took control of rooftop, and if Lorena was positioned inside that courtyard, he was vulnerable to all sorts of frags, a potential aggressive peak. Just not the place he wanted to be. And he wanted to drop back and get that res onto Will, so now they're into a 4v3.
Legionnaires running out of time here. They got 2.5 minutes. Their offensive push is pretty good. They made a couple of trades, just didn't get that one confirm out. Would have been an even push, but Kagan on this rooftop, I think, is not in a great spot. I mean, rooftop is good for Overwatch, but Gladiator's trained, watching this direction. Lucky as well. But Gladiator gets caught out. Kagan grabs him. Kit Mittens grabs Loreno. It's all coming undone.
Rome have lost very important defensive lines of sight. They really don't have a good control on objective at all. Kagan catching out William, trying to adjust those lines of sight, and now they're really in trouble. They need their third. I'm not sure where he is.
We are seeing that map bug, so we don't see the fifth player on the mini map, unfortunately, but we are going to be seeing that push onto the objective, and honestly, Lucky's nowhere near it. I mean, this is cap territory.
Yeah, he's way on the other side on Plane Wing on the south side. The smokes are out. The defense is incredibly weak. He's so far away from objective. Like, Lucky has to rotate around here to get on top and make sure he can cover those walls. I think maybe here is his best bet. He botches a flash, flashes himself. He's completely out in the open. And Legionnaires looks like they'll be taking this map.
Yeah, they are pushing now up for that cap. Lucky watching the corner, but I don't think he knows you can cap behind that wall without exposing yourself, but Kagan doesn't either. And Grit gets headshotted there by Lucky. Kitten Mittens moving in for that backup cap. Mr. Serious rotating in behind Lucky and looking for it, but now Kitten hears him, grabs the kill. Legionnaires grab the second map, and we're in a 1-1 series, folks.
You're tied up across the board.
That was a great offensive comeback.
Yeah.
Kagan grabbing 2 great picks from that rooftop to bring the Legionnaires back from the brink.
Yeah, those were vital, and I think it could have been easier if they had Lucky just a little bit sooner. You know, he seemed to be just a bit separated from that squad, but you know, ultimately they don't quite need him, and yeah, they take that map. Now the real fun begins. Where do we go for map number 3? What do we go on to? Is it a night map? Is it something unorthodox? What kind of strategies are we going to see? Because I think what we saw here is Legionnaires excel on a bit more of an open map, and Rome excel on a bit more close quarters.
Yeah, and I think they're going to want to take them to those close quarters. I'm just interested if it's going to be cargo or tanker. I feel like it's going to be one of those two, almost for sure. Downfall's out, obviously. Bazaar is out, so it's got to be one of the small dark maps, the dark dank maps that are left over. And yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting series. It's shaped up to be quite a banger so far. Both teams delivering some unorthodox play, but succeeding in it on both sides. It's this is why I love these sort of fresh matchups like this, and I think that maybe that has something to do with it too. They haven't played each other officially. I don't know if there's been scrims in there, so this is another one of like those things we have to remember. They're sort of feeling each other out still,
right?
As play styles sort of clash. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of teams showing each other, hey, I'm good on this map.
Yeah.
I can do this well, you know, and then the other guy's like, oh, okay, all right, we'll do this on this other side. You know, it's kind of this back and forth. It's always interesting to see. So I'm thinking Rome might pull something out of their bag of loot.
Really deliberating those map choices.
Series is on the line, Knight. You got to
Yeah.
take your time. These are not decisions to be taken lightly. This is a big MMR gain for Rome. This is something they definitely want to make sure everyone agrees on and feels comfortable on. So, not surprising there while we make the folks wait, but
It'll be a nice boost for Legionnaires, though. Kind of solidify themselves into that top 10 spot they found themselves in.
yeah, definitely. They are a team that has always contended for that top 10, top 8 spot season over season. So, not surprising to see them fighting tooth and nail for it as well. I'm sure they'll be ready for whatever map Rome throws at them. It just depends on if they, I mean, they've clearly done some of their homework, so we'll see if they're quite as read up on it. Enough to take the series at the very least.
Ooh. Looking like we're going to Tanker for map number 2.
And not a surprising choice, obviously, given the possibilities, but it's going to make for some pretty exciting play. We have seen some pretty great equipment utilization from both teams, and if anywhere you need to utilize your equipment properly, it is here on Tanker.
Yeah, absolutely. Effective flashbangs, smokes, even the noise suppression from an LMG can be a big factor in how you decide to push the objective on this map. It's one of the, I guess there's not a ton of maps. This map in Cargo, can you really think of other maps where there's a lot of metal that you can utilize for noise suppression?
I think those are the two major ones. There are certain sections of Quarantine that have metal railings and barricade. You know, those. I think the apartment buildings are a good example of that. But the range of the suppression doesn't make too much sense, right? These are close quarters maps where you know the player is, you know, maybe 100 meters ish out. Whereas on Quarantine, the suppression may not do the same thing. But it also depends on the objective. So we'll see. This one and this objective is probably one of my favorites on this map, next to the one right underneath it, the center of the map. I mean, these are always really interesting clashes. We're gonna see those flashes. We're gonna see those smokes. We're gonna see those frags. And it's just knowing team positioning, right? Like, how aggressive is the other team gonna be? Where do you place that equipment as you make your approach? That's what makes this map so exciting. I think that's why teams are starting to sort of fall in love with it again.
Waiting for that to happen with Subway. I think it's going to take some time, but some teams are starting to come around to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a good map with the new changes, but strat development for it is slow going. I think that's what keeps a lot of teams sort of at bay. Not a lot of people playing it in competitive lobbies, or at least not the ones I'd been in. And then making those strategies to cover all those different angles takes a little time. It's got to bake a little bit, but I'm sure we'll be seeing it towards the end of the season, especially, and well into the next season, a lot more. It was a very polarized map in older seasons, and I think once we figure it out, it'll be a more heavily picked map than it is now.
Everybody is in lobby. I'm not seeing any roster adjustments. Same main squad there.
Yeah, you're correct. They are identical squads, and both teams playing well. No reason to sub out any players so far. We haven't seen any egregious plays from anybody, so not too surprising there, but we are kicking it off.
Diving into the series decider, map number 3, round 1 on Tanker. Rome versus Legionnaires, and it's going to be an upstairs objective, so the action could be quick. And timers seem to be in order. Everything seems to be in order on our end, spectating-wise, for this map as well.
And we're gonna see yep, there's that equipment utilization. Smoke's coming out nice and early, trying to cover their approach. William Dunce moving up here, tossing his own equipment. Gonna be running into Raider here soon, and the knife comes out.
Miyagi doesn't know. Will's gonna get two. Oh my gosh, he was going for a double knife. The madman.
What an absolute crazy person, but a great knife for him and a silent pickup. I think Legionnaires even know they're down a man yet.
Miyagi prone here against this tanker here. It looks like he missed Lucky AF. I'm not sure he got that pick and then kind of stopped paying attention. Lucky gets across, catches Kagan on the backside, and now Legionnaires have a row member behind their enemy lines. Aramita catches one out in the center, and it's now down to Mr. Miyagi and Mr. Sirius in a 3v2.
Yeah, Lucky's position here is devastating. Having somebody behind enemy lines like this is probably the worst thing that can happen. Miyagi gets caught out there, and now the offense just has free reign. Sirius has to get back on objective. Pads out from Aramita.
Pops off the night vision, starts punching in the code, and it could be a nice 2-point lead for Rome. Just like they started it on Suburbia, they started with 2 here on Tanker.
And that is what they wanted. That is exactly the kind of play they were hoping for. Getting that early cap out, getting those picks, that crazy knife play from William.
Wow.
I think they just did not have an accurate defensive count there. I think that played into it. They thought they had 5 men up. No one expects the knife kill, Knight.
Yeah.
No one expects it.
Yeah, but yeah, and they lost. That was an important loss, and to your point, he had deployed C4 on that corner, which could have been utilized if that detonator had been handed off earlier, but it never was. So he goes down. The potential for that corner to be covered and backed up is gone, and you know we see that happen where they lose control of their defensive line. Mr. Miyagi though, that spot was dirty. He was doing some work prone there. I'm not sure why he crouched up. I think him being prone was doing a lot because it was pushing half his body into the cargo bin. So he was really tough to see there.
Yeah, that's a play see a lot of teams doing on a lot of these different maps.
It's not a lot of times.
Those.
You know, a lot of times it's not. It's not even really intentional. You're just positioning yourself to what feels like you're back against a wall. You know, it's the nature of virtual reality. Your real body can go in places that your virtual one can't, you know, and so strange things can happen.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think there are some adjustments to be made there. I think when you're laying down against a container perpendicular like that, I think you at this level you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
You know, it is what it is, and we play within the constraints we're given. So in the end, it didn't,
above board, you know, all legal stuff there.
In the end, it didn't really benefit them at all. They in fact lost 2 points there. So it can go either way no matter what, but a great play from Rome there. Very, very systematic dismantling of the defense. Lucky had a great flank there. Kudos to him on that round in general for grabbing that. And there was no rotation there from Legionnaires. That's what I was going to comment on right after the round was they heard the shots come out. I didn't see pads come out to check where those shots came from, and then they just let that side go. They let Lucky have it. And in the end, they got punished for it.
Got punished hard. 2 points going into the hands of Rome to kick off that tanker map and sort of thrown Legionnaires off a little bit, I think. We've taken the full time here between maps.
Yeah, definitely. I think a part of it, though, is I think Mr. Sirius is new to the Legionnaires roster, and he might general be new to the league. Don't quote me on that, but he is not a player that I'm familiar with at the very least.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
familiar with every player.
Legionnaires, they typically have their little carrots to the left and right of their name. Mr. Serious, the only one so far that doesn't.
We'll see if Rome can lock up this defense and take it to an early 3-0. I mean, this series it's getting away from the Legionnaires. They were pulling back there, but sort of fell asleep off their win off map 2, and need to fight their way back here. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time. We're going to see that same Legionnaires methodical play as they try to comb through the map. Shots coming out from Rome onto Kagan's position, and Meowgi's position do not land.
Meowgi's pushing up there with the shield, trying to utilize that height advantage to check the angles. Helps out a decent nade, not quite. He had all sorts of opportunities for a kill, just didn't go where he needed it to.
And that flash does land on Meowgi. He is blinded. But no one's capitalizing it now. Gladiator throwing more rounds into that position. Kagan responding back quick, but still just a couple of dogs barking at each other for the most part.
Oh, not anymore. Kagan grabs the shots on Lucky AF on the backside of their defensive line, and Rome now into a 4v5. Definitely not the way to start off the round. And these guys, yeah, I mean, look at how patiently Legionnaires are playing this.
They're sort of baiting them out. They're making Rome get antsy and aggressive. Kit, Mittens, and Dunce here right around the corner from each other, and Mittens loses the trade. Dunce goes up, but Raider grabs the refrag.
A little overcommitment there from Dunce to get that finishing kill, and Raider nicely finds that shot. Nades do come out as well, but nothing landing, and Rome now into a 4v3. 3v4, rather.
Yeah, and I really like that Meowgi Kagan positioning as sort of a spotter and a shooter configuration, where Meowgi was using the shield to just gain intel and then feeding it to Kagan so he can grab that early pick. It's an interesting strategy, and that top side, sort of sentry room position is great for that. And it's good to see them using that. I'm sure we'll be seeing that more as teams play tanker a lot more this season.
A lot of communication coming out of Legionnaires. They're trying to identify where the remaining Rome defenders are located. And they really need to just start pushing up. They don't really actually need to. They have 3.5 left on the clock, so they have a lot of time to work with.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of a small map. You've got all the time in the world. And this would have been a good opportunity for like a nice, quiet, sneaky flank by Gladiator coming up behind the Legionnaires' offense. They're really not watching their flank at all.
Yeah, they have no coverage downstairs. They're really concerned with their Overwatch positions, which are good, but not that great, considering all of the coverage and all of the different possible positions that one of these guys could be tucked, one of these Rome defenders could be tucked behind.
I do want to correct my last statement. See, Mr. Serious was in the back watching that flank, so that is why they were so carefree about it.
So he was positioned. Oh, he was watching the flank from the second level where they spawn. I see.
Yeah, very, very backed up position, but now he's moving up with his team. That coordination coming out. Meowgi and Aranita. Oh, Gladiator actually going to be the one that grabs the shield.
These guys going down on confirms and getting over aggressive once they've picked off. Costs them their lives, and now it's all up to Lorena.
And he gets caught out on that rotation, and Legionnaires grab that Marsoc win for themselves. No cap, but a strong Marsoc win anyway. Now gives them the defensive chance to even this score up in the next round.
What is our next objective? Because you got to be a little worried if you're Legionnaires on what kind of strats are going to get thrown at you. It is going to be the same center objective, but this time down a level. So There's all sorts of possible coordinated attempts you could throw at that objective these days. I've seen all sorts of new plays. There's 4 entry points, sure, but proper smokes and good shields can really wreak some havoc.
Yeah, definitely. But on the defensive side, you do have to still remember that flashlights blind night vision goggles. So it's an interesting strat we've seen a lot of teams using where they set up flashlights to try to sort of blind the offense as they come through different corridors. And I'm interested to see if either of these teams is going to pull something like that out.
Yeah, we have seen that, dropping off the pistol with the flashlight to distract. I haven't seen that since that game, though.
And this objective is definitely the one that, to your earlier point, is one of the biggest noise suppression objectives on this map. It is a huge, like 2 LMGs in that basement going off makes it almost impossible to hear yourself think, let alone hear the movement of enemy players. So it's definitely another strat that I think teams are going to start getting used to doing. You know, the drum mags already come out pretty much every round on most teams, shared out to the teammates. So it could be up to 4 players potentially laying down that suppressing fire as well. So a lot of interesting ways to approach this. Like I said, these 2 are my 2 favorite objectives, and we get them back to back, which casting gods are at least somewhat with us today. And the scores and colors are working. I mean, I guess what else can you hope for?
I mean, geez, everything seems to be pretty much in order to me, Noman, as we dive into round number 3. Don't be fooled by the score, because there was a cap. We gotta do hard math.
Wasn't paid for this. Wasn't paid for this kind of math.
Gotta do that hard math and see how this Legionnaires defense shakes out. Interestingly, Miyagi opted for night vision.
Someone get on the inside of that. You can watch on both sides.
We're seeing the bulk of the offense actually go topside here. They're opting out of trying to crawl through those tunnels and sort of fight for their inches, and they're just going to go straight for these upstairs approaches. William Dunce now actually moving up through their spawn. I'm wondering if he's going to try to go for that flank with the shield.
It's a long rotation, and it's going to require patience out of the rest of his team. Lorena tries to toss a nade around the corner. It would have been great if he did manage to get it around the corner. Could have caught Kittens out. Good flash, also tossed, but Kittens here is tucked behind. I don't know, this seems so risky to peek. Especially when they have that other alleyway they can opt in for. They can take that center, they can drop back and rotate up the center and be really close to objective. I think that's what Aramida might opt to do.
You're gonna need to coordinate this equipment utilization. We've seen a lot of lone flashes, a lot of lone, like that lone smoke from Lucky blocking the doorway, but you really want your team to be able to capitalize as a unit on all of these utilizations.
Like C4 went off, some shots fired onto the shield bearer. William Dunce. All the while, trades going off in the center on objective. Just like that, Romer down to 2. But it is the 2v3, so we'll see how they can coordinate this. They have a shield and a rifle. They need to sync up, try and make their entry.
Yeah, and Kitten's the only one really defending this objective. I mean, Raider's sightline, you can sort of sneak around it. Kitten's the first line of defense here, and he's got to be vigilant. But now he's checking 2 angles.
Yeah, the communication there. They did ID the shield. Raider, I'd calling out a shield's approaching the objective, so Kagan Sorry, Kittenmans rather. Does tune in a good nade, though. Tossed right into the corner. Does push Kittenmans out from that spot, allowing William to rotate around. Raider catches Gladiator on the backside, but the shield's up in here. Kitten is patient on the shots. Raider's here in front of him. Williams trying to pistol him out, but he's in such an odd situation, and Kagan finally comes up on the backside and ties it up, and Legionnaires make it 2-2.
Now that was worst case scenario there. If VRML had gotten that pick either on Raider or on Kitten, it could have been a bit more viable, but Legionnaires paying attention there and tying up the series 2-2. Or sorry, the map 2-2. Well, the series is tied as well. They tied that up as well. There's ties all over the place. Math is hard. It's all kinds of things, but we are in pretty much
A dead even state.
dead heat, which is exactly, I think, I don't know if I expected it, but I really wanted it. I'll say that.
Yeah, I didn't really know who was going to take this. I definitely anticipated Rome putting up a good fight, though. And I really thought that Rome was going to run away with the series after that first map, but Legionnaires answering back nicely and then staying in it here. Especially after Rome kicking it off with a 2-point cap with a cap in the first round.
Yeah, and that just goes to show. I mean, veteran teams like Legionnaires and a lot of the teams in the league, you know, sort of, I describe them as calluses. Like, they sort of become calloused to when they get capped on. They don't let it affect them as much as newer, younger teams might. Because it can be quite demoralizing when you're, you know, a relatively new team and you're sort of fighting your way up the ladder and you get capped on early like that. It can really set you back mentally in the game. But Legionnaires just sort of let it roll off their backs and grab the next 2 round wins and tie it up like this, and we'll see if they can keep that train rolling.
Indeed, they have a Marsoc round ahead of them. They themselves will have to invade that downstairs basement objective. Kidman's opting for the flashlight on the rifle. Reminder that we are on 1.5, so that flashlight is effective against night vision, as he mentioned earlier, and as we've been saying on these night maps.
Now we're seeing the difference. So Legionnaires opting for that low approach. Meowgi grabbing a quick kill on Lorena there.
Oh, that is
Behind the
not
shield.
good. They've just given a shotgun to a shield user.
Dangerous waters now for Rome. They're making those grenade checks, but they should know Legionnaires are taking their time on this. This is not an objective they're likely to rush totally blind into, and now Meowgi making this approach up the center hallway. Lucky looking for him. He should be able to call him out. Shots ring out. They do not penetrate the shield, and he's basically just giving intel at this point.
Tries to get a nade. G36 team kill from William. And then Raider picking up Lucky, getting over aggressive. Just like that, Rome, they've lost 3-4 on their defense, and now it's all up to Aramita in a 1v5.
Yeah, this is bad news. They just didn't have the patience there. You gotta have the patience when you're approaching, when you see an approaching offense like the Legionnaires that tend to take their time. You wanna try to not give yourself away too early, and you gotta think Legionnaires are thinking cap.
I'm just curious if there's any way they can. I think Aramita being inside the circle should be able to deny them any capping opportunities. These guys are definitely looking for kills. It seems like to me Meowgi does get picked off. I don't know where the cap could be possible.
I think the only likely spot is right over here by this white container. They sort of sneak up real quiet. You would not see him, but the attempt will not come out. Aramita goes down, and Legionnaires go up 3-2.
I think, yeah, that is 3 unanswered points from Legionnaires. on this map right now, and they're going in to that Volk defensive. On what objective? The last one available, right? The far back. Oh no!
No, this is actually
nose.
this is the front. This is actually a beneficial objective for them because this is another one I think Rome may have practiced some cap strategies on. This is a very, very, I wouldn't say easy, but a very susceptible objective to caps. It's got a lot of different angles that are tough to cover if you lose 1 or 2 men and you're not rotating properly and you're not checking your smoke. Anything can happen. I don't know. It says 2-3, but I feel like it's a nail biter at this point.
Yeah, Rome have definitely displayed a strong capping ability with some fast maneuvers. Hitting 1 cap on Suburbia, 1 here already on Tanker. It's the right answer. It's definitely their best play because they're not looking too great here on this map. Legionnaires are definitely riding the momentum at least. Rome were great on that first round. They just need to sort of repeat that magic.
Oh, oh, it's magic. I'm sorry, everybody on the I had to. It was in my head. I had to let it out. It's just gonna be stuck in there all day. But magic is what they need here. I mean, this is. You gotta think Rome's thinking cap. You gotta think, especially with this objective. If they'd have gotten the one in the back, I think it would have been.
That is hard. You know, though, that's hard to have a mindset of when it's the series decider. When everything comes down to that, you're going to invest trying to play aggressive and try and go for a cap. I think if it's been
cap, working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if it's been working, you want to try for it. I don't think you give up on it necessarily, but you know, this isn't. This is league play. It's not championship play yet. I think you want to take those risks when you can and grab those maps when you can. I mean, the series has been tight so far. I don't think either team is going to be taking too huge of a hit. I mean, obviously, just because of their difference, they will, but not by score line necessarily. So, you know, I don't know. I think it's in their mind somewhere, and you got to think with the way they played that first round and got that cap, you got to think it's on their minds at least a little bit.
Yeah, this is a long 2-minute timer here.
Yeah, this is Onward time.
Yeah.
This is 2 minutes Onward time. Both teams. I mean, with a series like this, I guess you give them a bit of a pass. It's getting down to the wire for both, and they want to get all their ducks in a row. But we want to see good play, you know? That's what we want to see. Don't you come out here with this 1v5 nonsense on this round. Let's see some plays. So far, the teams have been delivering.
If you are just tuning in, you've missed a lot of the action. It's definitely been a nail-biter. But you're down to what could be the final round, if not the final 2 rounds of this series. Legionnaires losing Suburbia 1-4 to Rome. Rome really rolling over them well. That was actually Suburbia 2. And then Legionnaires stepping it up, answering back on Quarantine 4-1. Definitely looking a lot stronger, kind of like they woke up. And then, I don't know, this has just been a back-and-forth brawl here. I don't know what to expect out of Rome. Will they go for that aggressive cap attempt, or will they kind of play it slow? I think we are waiting on a member of Rome, so I think the tech could be a tech timeout possibly. But man, what a great series so far.
Absolutely. Speaking of series, we've got a lot of them this week.
Yeah, there's a whole heap of games because the Button Cup is in full swing, and so we've got some interesting EU versus NA matchups planned ahead on the old docket, and we have a bunch of other games scheduled that I'm definitely interested. It's going to be an action-packed weekend for Onward, so definitely stay tuned on to both Onward 1 and Onward 2 channels, because I think we're probably going to end up using both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got casts pretty much every day. Great matchups. Stuff I've been looking forward to a lot. Great games to play as well. And if you're not watching, you should be playing. Get in there, get your headset on, find a team. It's just a good time. It's a good time had by all. What else can you say? We've said it a billion times. Good people doing good things.
I think we have all 5 back. No one being subbed out. So obviously just a tech difficulty on one of the players on Rome's side, and a sweet, sweet countdown timer. You know what it means. It's time to go into what could be the series deciding map. The series deciding round, excuse me, of this final map. It is round number 5. Really got to punch the numbers here because we had 1 cap from Rome. See if they can do it again.
And to actively think about that math. It's a struggle every minute of every cast right now, just every time. And we are seeing that aggression. There's that aggression, and it's not paying off. William Dunn's going down quick. Kitten Mitten's peeking that corner, and Dunn's had a grenade out.
The worst.
Oh, that's the worst possible scenario there.
Really an unfortunate start for Rome, and now they're into a 5v3. I think their best option is to go underground because, man, Miyagi and Kitten have such great coverage here of this center area. Miyagi's got half his, he's prone there up against that metal container. Kitten and Raider here kind of covering both sides. Mr. Serious denying Gladiator that entry from downstairs, and now they're into a 2v5. This is looking like Legionnaires taking the series.
Yeah, that flash had to have hit a couple. Lorena now moving up. Is he going to check the corner? Miyagi's in that container again, but he's still flashed out. Lorena does get grabbed. However,
Look,
actually,
he's on
it's a team
objective.
kill.
Look, he's on objective. He's punching in code. And Miyagi catches him on the backside to grab Legionnaires the win. They went for that cap, but they couldn't quite pull it off.
Feels good to get a prediction right. They wanted it. But that was, I think, the darkest timeline for Rome there with those 2 going down early.
Yeah.
Could have been a totally different series. But yeah, Legionnaires go 2-1 on the series and take that game for them. Great plays on both sides.
Yeah, a real fun series to watch. Very good back and forth. Excellent plays from both sides. Good coordination from both sides. Good teamwork. You could see plays and practice plays from both teams. And that's what I love to watch, man. I just like watching that coordination and like watching everybody work together. And all in VR. That's what, where it all really gets to be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. That is what we are all here for.
If you are interested in joining more of it, head on over to vrmasterleague.com/onward, where you can follow the Twitter, follow the Facebook, follow both Twitch links, so you can get involved in Onward Master League 1 and 2, where we will sometimes do double features. And you can also register for a team. Sign up for the join the Discord, where you can you can talk to everybody involved in the community. It is a big one, and so I highly recommend you do that. And I think that's it. Noman, you got anything?
No, just tune in this weekend.
Yeah.
Tons of games, like we said. Come hang out with us. Knight said it all. Great. Thank you guys for hanging out in the chat. Thanks for clips and support and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's it for me.
Excellent. Well, I think that'll be it from us. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight for this excellent series. My name is NightFiree with 2 E's. My co-caster Noman with a 4. We will see you tomorrow.
Peace.